everybody, I'm Dan with Topstep, and today I'm sitting down with funded trader Drew out of Chicago boy. He actually works with our very own John Hoagland. Drew, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I can't complain. Drew and I have actually been having a little fun conversation here before we clicked record. Drew is a professional paintballer, which I think is probably, you're the first one I've ever met. I absolutely love paintballing. And I think the coolest thing is you were talking about how you found ways to relate something completely different from trading, but related to trading. How have you done that with paintballing to trading?
Yeah. Well, first off, I think you are not the first person to say I'm the first one that you've met. Most people, I didn't know it was a thing. So, but yeah, I think just relating it, I think there's a lot of lessons you learn as you're trying to get good at a thing that are applicable to trying to get good at many things. So there are nuances to like trading, just like there's nuances to being good at paintball or basketball or whatever you do. But I think there's a lot of like underlying truths in getting good at anything that I feel like have helped me, apply. I've gone through what it means to like how to manage, failure, how to manage success, how to, work smarter towards getting better, like all of these things that you can apply to trading. I think it's, it makes sense in my head. It's like, there's very few people in the world, I guess I could try to explain that too, but I was fortunate to, I guess, go through that when I was younger. So, I don't necessarily trade the exact way I played paintball, but, it's a thing. Cause there's definitely differences. Like, for example, if you're playing poorly, you have this like part of your ego is to like, you know what, I can get back out there and I can do well. It's like, I know as a good player, I can do well and get back out there. My team relies on me. As a trader, that same mentality could smoke you. You know what I mean? Sometimes there's times to just chill out and like maybe tomorrow's your day, So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a concept too I've been reading into. I find it pretty interesting. It's called range, and I think it's a common thing talked about with younger athletes. When athletes are working their way and they're trying to kind of find their niche, there's the idea of range. We're not all Tiger Woods where you can focus on one sport and that's like your path for the rest of your life. But if you have range and you can kind of put your disciplines across multiple sectors, like here, you're talking paintball, we're talking trading, multiple different sectors, creating that range, creating disciplines that you can transfer from one to the other. It's really a benefit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So Drew, how long have you been trading?
Been actually, I think day trading, like, as a full-time focus for, I started sort of like halfway through 2019.
Okay.
So
yeah. Did you start right with futures or did you do a little bounce around?
No, like I've always had sort of an investor's hat on. Like I've always kept an eye on like, managing, our own money and like having an eye on like, what I think would work well from an investment standpoint. So I started by trading just outright stock. And then I got introduced, to stock options, which sort of just was sort of a rabbit hole into just like leveraged instruments. And then I found futures at the like sort of midway through 2020. And I've been mainly focused on futures, ever since. So
they're an enticing product to be active in. I mean, you can watch the swings. They're fun. They're a lot of fun to be around. They give good movement. They create good opportunity. What are some of the products? I got a feeling when you started, you were like all of us. We like to look at everything. So where'd you start versus what products are you trading specifically now?
I think I actually like sort of came in. I just traded the stock, the equities at the beginning. So I traded mainly NQ versus ES. And I still do that to this day. I thought that, I could kind of expand what I learned to other markets. I just kind of feel like I don't know what moves certain instruments the way I feel like I have an understanding for what moves the equities. Like I don't, and it seems like it's sort of a distraction for me to go pay attention to like nat gas reports or crude oil or all these things, maybe one day, but I feel like, I've kind of started with equities and just stuck with equities.
No. I think I like that because equities are something that you can kind of associate yourself with. They're built up of companies that you're using. If you're buying a new car, you're thinking about, okay, I'm buying a new car. I went and bought a Tesla. Okay, let's look at Tesla stock. How's that related to the indices? Or, so many things and so many objects and parts of our life are revolved with the stock market. It really kind of creates a benchmark and it creates an intrigue into that market. Natural gas, I'm not a huge natural gas trader. I don't look at it very often. With it being as high as it is right now and winter coming around the corner, I'm paying a little closer attention to natural gas just because
Mhm.
I'm curious how expensive my gas bill is going to be every month. But I'm probably not going to trade it because I'm not that excited about the product itself.
Yeah, I know I was trading stock options, which I still do a little bit. I found just more success and a little more clarity focusing on like the Qs and SPY, which that's what kind of led me down to futures because I was like, oh, there's an equivalent to this sort of same market just within futures. So I just felt like there was a little more day-to-day consistency for just focusing on these, equities versus like, I did try to trade individual names, which, I just felt like it was a little more scattershot. So once I
Mhm.
landed on, the equities, I, haven't really looked back since. So,
That's awesome. So, what are some of the things that you're looking at throughout the day for trade execution?
I really just, I think you mentioned earlier that, I work with John. I think he's done a good job. The past year, I think I've really honed my strategy to just look for opportunities at the extremes of, ranges. And at the end of the day, just looking at things from a simple standpoint of, is it, is this a cheap opportunity to buy or sell? Like, I don't necessarily feel like I'm a trader that, trades like continuation of a move. Like I don't really like look for confirmation that it's going up before I get long, or
Mhm.
I do, but I'm saying like more like less of a breakout trader, and I'm more of like a kind of fading the ranges and extremes on both sides, really. So that's kind of where I'm at. Which sometimes that means I have a hard time buying a market that's just going up if I don't really feel like I get a primo trade entry. But at least it's cheap when I'm wrong. So.
Look, I think you're pretty similar to a lot of us. I'm very similar to that too. I'm looking more fading extremes, trading values. The breakout, that's a tough trade. We actually just did a coach's playbook recently talking about ranges versus breakouts, and everyone loves the idea of a breakout. It's exciting. And do I want to be in every single breakout? Absolutely. But if I'm looking for the breakout too often, it's what's going to hurt me because we're going to see too many false breakouts. That market more often than not likes to rotate back inside. We can manage our risk. We can be controlled. And that's what day trading is about, is finding ways to control your risk, control your money management, that capital management. So I love that. You mentioned John. How has it been working with John?
It's been great. I mean, he's got, decades of experience, which like I love to soak all that up. You know what I mean? There's a, I think I'd be a fool to like not think that worth it, like listening to it is smart, right? But I think one big thing that I've really incorporated a lot in my trading is just the usage of like the market profile in general. It just helps me paint a clear picture of where value is and what a high is and what a low is, like in the context of multiple days. So kind of
Mhm.
zooming out a little bit and really painting a clear picture of where prices is and where it's heading. He's been good at that. He's been good at that whole, I think he calls them kind of asymmetric opportunities, which is like a cheap loss and you have more to gain by doing that. So how to identify where those spots are, like he's been good. And then from a mental side of the game, if you're having a tough day, he helps you kind of, walk through that. And he's just a great resource to have. It's been awesome.
That's awesome. Big shout out to
Yeah.
Hogue there. I have relied on Hogue multiple times too. I like to reach out to him. I need his input too. I think it's really nice when you have someone that you can chat with and be able to have those conversations.
Yeah.
All right, last couple of questions for you, and we'll let you get on out of here. There's a lot of traders going through the program. What is some advice you would have for someone working their way through right now?
Well, through the combine specifically, I think it's worth the time to trade it as if it were the funded, because there is that time aspect of like, yeah, you have money on the line with resets and your fees and everything like that, but you're really working towards a funded level, which you can't afford to take like too much risk at that level because you have to think of all the time it took you to get to that. So to me, that's the real value of what you're trying to maintain when you first become funded, right? So I think don't underestimate that if you could get to funded in 5 days and just like, I think they'd let you trade like a 15 lot. Like I never get anywhere close to that. You know what I mean? Like, especially trading in Q, it's just, I can't manage risk at all with trading that big of a size. And if I do, it's like, you can get lucky, but I feel like I would if I caught a really big move trading that much size. So I think it's just trading, how you think, get experience trading the way you're going to be successful at the funded level. So I think that would be one of my main advices. So I've been back and forth a few times, like from funded to back to the combine. And I think that it's like you're learning different lessons along the way. And to me, it's just been getting as much exposure and experience trading your exact strategy. Like don't trade differently in the combine than the funded, because you're learning two different things, So
I
yeah.
love that. I think I love the idea of the trading combine, and we have the resets for when you do have those drawdowns, but don't be reliant on the reset, right? Because that reset's not there when you get to the funded level. You hit a
Mhm.
daily loss limit on your first day. You can't click the reset. No, you got to start back over. And that's the last thing you want to do. You really want to focus on, I'm going to trade now, the way I'm going to trade when I'm live, the way I'm going to trade when I'm doing this 20 years down the road. I want to have that same mentality, manage my risk, control my environment as best I possibly can, and trade the market the way the market wants to be traded.
Yeah. And I think it just helps have more realistic expectations on what a good day and a bad day is. And there's not wild swings between both. And then you
Mhm.
earn the right to trade, the mini or more micros or more minis or whatever it is, because you've built it as if because you're essentially operating a business. So you can't just come out swinging for the fences. You've got to build the right to do that.
Absolutely. And it is a business. In business, your job is to keep your costs low, those asymmetric opportunities that we talk about. Your job is to create revenue, good profitable trades, hitting those profit targets, trading within a plan. So you got to have a business plan around the whole thing. You have to look at this as though this is a legitimate business, not, well, I'm going to buy and sell and see what happens.
Hmm. Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely.
Awesome. All right, Drew, one last question for you and we can get on out of here. How's your experience been with Topstep so far?
It's been great. I think I'm not sure how I originally found it, but given that, there's a little Chicago bias. So I think I was like, I'll, definitely support these guys, but everything has been great. There's been no, everything, from the resources between, every morning I'm watching the summary of the day, and every
Mhm.
afternoon I'm watching the recap, and there's all of the blog posts and all of like Hoag's, expertise and everything like that. And all of the, what they give you. I mean, it's a pretty good joint venture. So I think I couldn't really ask for anything, better. It's good. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Drew. Well, thank you for sitting down with me. Best of luck as you move forward in this funded account. Look forward to see your name up on the boards, getting some good withdrawals. So in the meantime, trade well, and thank you.
Cool. Thank you.